Are you ready? All right, cool. So we're going to go ahead and start now with our WooCommerce presentation. Chris talked a little bit about WooCommerce in the January, but we're going to go a little bit deeper. But I want to tell a quick little story about whenever I started this meetup. I didn't start the meetup. When I started coming to this meetup 5 years ago now, I remember every single time someone would come in and say, we want to learn and hear about e-commerce. And I remember it was Greg Taylor, Chuck Reynolds, Josh Zering. Those were the old school guys that were here at all of the meetups. And they would just let out a deep sigh and they would roll their eyes and they would give the same spiel every time, which is, you cannot say that there's one good or best one over any other. It depends on what you want to do with it, and you have to know all these things before you can even pick which e-commerce system to go with. And so we would never have anyone present on e-commerce because it was too complicated. It depended on what you needed. Did you need to have options? Did you need shipping? Did you need this? Did you need that? And it was oftentimes kind of frustrating because people would come in wanting this information, and of course there wasn't an answer. And then WooCommerce came along. And I'm going to let Justin go in and just kind of tell you how Woo changed a lot just because it became this one plugin with all these different things you can plug into the plugin. And so then all of a sudden we had an e-commerce solution that we could kind of talk about, well, you know, if you need this, then you do this, and you know. So the game changed a lot whenever WooCommerce came in, and as a result, it's a pretty big deal. There's a lot to it. Justin is a developer who has been, he's run his own agency, Certain Strings, and then most recently he began working as a senior dev with FanSided, where they work with, and I can't remember, he'll tell you, a network of a crazy amount of multi-sites that they handle. It's just insane, the kind of development work they're doing right now. So anyway, thank you, Justin.
Oh, so to answer the March Madness question.
Oh, I forgot to introduce you.
No,
yes.
That is correct. My name is Justin. Actually, as Carol said, I'm a developer at FanSided, which is a tiny property. And it's a blog network of mainly sports sites, but it's a blog network of mainly sports sites, but we have 11 sites and we can generate content. Our current count is about 25 sites on one multi-site install. But today we're going to talk about WooCommerce, and I'm going to run you through pretty much from front to back. Right? So we're going to talk about these few topics: getting it set up. We're going to go through all the different types of products that you can set up and how they work. We're going to touch on shipping a little bit, and we're going to talk about payments and how to add in apps as well. And then we're going to do some processing as far as how an order works and then how you can interact with that order, as well as use a payment gateway, which in this case we're going to talk about Stripe. But we'll get more into detail as we go through each of those steps. I have a local dev environment, so we're not going to break anything. We can break stuff if we need to. Let me close some of these guys out here. So if we look in the front end, this is just a default WordPress install. This is the 2016 theme. I chose this one because you can really install this plugin and get up and running. You don't need a special theme. There are some out there, but we're going to run through installing WooCommerce just off this base theme. So in your backend, you log into your admin panel. We're going to run through installing the plugin. So in this sense, you're going to go to plugins. I already have it installed, but if you're new to this kind of interface, you can click Add New, and then simply search for the term, and then it will come up. I already have it installed, so you can see it grayed out here. So I go back to plugins and click Activate. WooCommerce has this nice getting started prompt that will run you through some basic setup options, right? And so you can opt out of it with this button, but it also provides you another, there's other means to get back into this. But so just for demonstration purposes, we're going to run through this section here. As WooCommerce goes through and sets up your site, it creates these certain pages, and they're all pretty self-explanatory. Here you have a shop, which will show all your products. You have a cart, which will show the items in the cart. Checkout is the process of checking out. And then My Account, you can enable a My Account page to be created when people buy stuff from you. So this all sounds good. You click Continue. It goes and sets it all up in the back end, behind the scenes. And then we come to your location setup. And this is all self-detecting so far, except for it doesn't know we're here in Arizona. So I can't spell. Click Continue, sets that up for you, right? We're just going to click some basic stuff in here. I'm going to leave basic shipping unchecked here because we're going to go into that actual settings screen and tweak it a little bit, right? And then as far as basic tax goes, this is the default. So as you expect when you buy something, taxes additionally applied, right? So we're going to leave that as default. But this is pretty cool too because it will detect your location from what you had before and then give you a base rate. We're going to use this as the starter tax rate, but we can get in there to the tax settings screen and get really weird with it. But for now, we're just going to let that go as our starter, because you can go county by county and set different tax rates based on where you're at. Out of the box, it will support PayPal standards. So if you have a PayPal account, you can simply just put your email in here, and then it sets up that payment gateway by default, right? So we're going to leave this blank because we have a different payment gateway that we're going to use. So we're skipping all of the payment options as they are by default. And so we're basically ready to go at this point, right? We can share diagnostic data with WooCommerce, but since this is a local site, we really don't care. And then they provide you with these links to really get up and running, because when you first start with this plugin and you don't have somebody giving a presentation like I am, it can be a little overwhelming. And so these WooCommerce 101 video walkthroughs kind of show you how the interface will work and get you from one step to another. But you guys don't need those links because you have me today. So we can click Create Your First Product, and that's going to dump you directly onto your product page. So if you're a developer, this is essentially just a custom post type in the same manner as your post would be a post type. So you have a nice little, I guess, a walkthrough on what each of these parts of the interface do, right? And it goes for a while, so it'll give you a nice description based on where you go. I'm going through this quickly because this isn't as important as what we need to talk about for the presentation. And rather than going through and showing how these work from scratch, we're going to import some data that the plugin actually that comes with the plugin, right? So it kind of gets you started to show you how things will look, and it'll just make our demo a little easier because we can correlate what it looks like on the front end to the back end, and things will go a little quicker, right? So in this case, let's see, where's my plugins? I'm going to import a file. It's a little Indiana Jonesing to find it, but okay, so we got it.
What's the summary of what you just did in those 10 clicks?
So what I did was installed an importer plugin, which is it'll default link it for you.
Okay.
Then you go to click on import. It just brings it up like a normal plugin, and you can install the import plugin, and then you can pull in whatever file types to bring your data in. Usually it's an XML file or a CSV file. I think there's other formats, but I haven't really messed with too much of the extent of what it can pull in. So this is kind of just a side and a side to bring in information to make it more clear on what we're going to be looking at, right? So if I refresh this, we're not going to see anything because with our menus haven't been set up, which I ran into this issue yesterday. So we're just going to set that up really quick. So if you go to Appearance and then Menus, You got to give it a name, right? And then I'm going to give it primary menu. These are defined by the theme. So when we add actual links to this page, it's going to put the links to the pages in that location. So in this instance, primary nav is going to be on the top of our screen, which is going to be, right up in this area right up here. So I'm just going to look at all the pages I have available. It's going to dump them in here, and then I'm going to save the menu. So now if I go back to the front end and refresh the page, now I can access those pages via the front end, right? So now if I click on shop, this is all the dummy data that was included in that XML file that we just imported. And the reason I did this is because we have a good assortment of products, not only products to choose from, but like different types of products with different settings on them, so we can see how they work, right? So the first one we're going to talk about is the simple product, right? So that's going to be the Flying Ninja. Yeah, Flying Ninja. So we got a pretty cool poster, right? And then so with WooCommerce, it comes with some nice features out of the box. Like you can click the image, and then it gives you this nice little slideshow, right? So if you have other images as part of the slideshow, they'll be here. So I'm showing you how things work on the front end, and then we're going to go to the back end and correlate how they work, right? So you can see that we have a grayed out price here, or a lighter color price here with the strike through. This is showing that it's on sale, right? We have a product description. If you have reviews enabled, people can leave reviews on the product. This works kind of like comments do in WordPress. And then we can have related products. So related products, they get pulled in from other products that are tagged the same way. So if they both share the poster category, they're going to show up down here. And then it works like that, right? So then you can see our category is here for this product. So it's all pretty straightforward. We have our little icon here for on sale. If we go back to posters and like take another look at a different one, you can see how it's not on sale. We have just the price as it is. Our product description. This is kind of like the excerpt. Like, so if you've written blog posts, you have like a post excerpt. That's what that quick description is. And then the product description is like where you go really more in depth, right? So let's jump back to our Flying Ninja, right? I'm gonna close this guy out so we can go to edit product. And so this is what I was saying. This I think this is the one that operates as your quick description. So if I update that and we take a look at the product again, yeah, so that's our product description down there. So those are the two basic parts, right? So you have your quick description, which is like your excerpt, and then you have the full description, which is like the full description of the product. The power to like really edit your content on your prices and options for your products are really in this meta box. But before we talk about that, I want to show you how some of these product images work. So if you're familiar with a blog post and you have a featured image, this is that same functionality. So you can, if we correlate that back to the front page, you can see that this is our main image for the product. And the sub image down here, that's our product gallery. So if I click on this and look in my media library, I can add, a couple other images and then attach them on in there. And if we update it, go back to the front, you can see now we have more images for our slideshow. So you can have, I don't know, if you have like a shirt and you want to show like all the different angles of it on a model or something, you can do that, right? So if I click on any of them, it brings me up to that point in the slideshow, and you can successfully click through each one of these and get a better feel of how it works, right? So that's maintaining like the overall appearance of how the product is viewed. So now we're going to go through how the different type of products we have, and you can see we have a few to go through here. So we'll start with simple product. You can have it be a virtual product or a downloadable product. So if I click virtual, you can see like some of our shipping goes away, right? If I click downloadable, we get extra fields down here where if it's like maybe you're selling a music file or a theme or some sort of digital product, then you could go to Easy Digital Downloads. No, I'm just kidding. So you can do the same functionality here. You can say, you add a file, which, like if you had a theme, it would be a zip file. You can give it a name. You can give it a download limit, like say you only want to make 10 available at a time. You can do that. You can say when the download link will expire, and you can change the download type, right? You can also change this is a little separate from the downloads. If we uncheck this, you can see that your taxable information can be changed on a per product basis as well, right? So we're going to go into the next tab, which is your inventory. So by default, we have millions of this poster to sell, and so we don't want to manage our stock. But if you do want to manage it, you can click this. You can say I have 15, and I don't want to allow back orders. So if I do, I don't know, we can change this to 0 just to show you how the front end works, and say there's back orders. So let's do out of stock, and then we'll save it. And we go back to the front and see how this works. So it's available in back order. I believe if we try to add it, oh, I must have, what did I do? Oh, okay, there we go. So we can do out of stock. So currently out of stock. So you can control like the availability of your products as well. Let's see what else. The next thing we get into is your shipping. This will make more sense when you add an actual shipping plugin, because you can do things like bring in a United States Postal Service shipping plugin that can take these values, like your weight and dimensions, and then it will give you other options to choose from. So if you have one for FedEx, you have one for UPS, you can have all these shipping class options to choose from on a per product basis, right? You can do just a blanket shipping cost across the board if you wanted to as well. So the other part I want to talk about is this next tab, which is linked products. We touched on the related products a little bit, and that means that if I look at my products overall, you can see that I have a handful here that are all in the same category, right? So if I were to look at this premium quality poster, you can see that it's in this category of posters, like we were talking about before, and then it has all of our related products from that category being pulled in. Now, that is dynamic based on just the default WordPress, default WooCommerce code, right? It's going to do it automatically. You don't have to manage that kind of stuff. The other cool thing too here, though, is like you can actually manage the way certain products display on certain areas of your site. So upsells, they are specific products that you want to show on a product page. So in this case, maybe I wanted to do, I don't know, the Happy Ninja. I think that's a shirt. And you can do more than one, or more than 8, however many you want. So we'll just push enter. You type a few more characters, maybe woo. All right, woo logo. That sounds pretty good, right? So if I save this and I check it out on the actual product page, well, now we have these are our upsells, right? So you have your description, and these are the 2 that we just added, and your related products are still down here as well. So if we go back to that same screen, maybe you have this flying ninja poster, and when we go to the checkout process and we're in our cart, we want to show another poster, try to hook up another sale in there, right? So if I go back to linked products and I say, oh, that didn't do it. If I look for something like ninja, I don't know, we're just going to pick something at random, the silhouette, right? Click update. Now, if I go back to the front end, you're not going to see it on this page, yet, right? So if I need to go to another product because I made that one out of stock. We're going to add this one to the cart. Now, if we view our cart, you can see we have our you may be interested in stuff here as well. These are showing the same thing because we don't have as many products added in there. But you can say if this is in the cart, I want it to show a specific product on checkout. So once you get to this part, you can say, oh, this one has multiple options. That was a bad example. You can add that to the cart once you have your options selected, and then upsell more products that way. So where are we at here? The next part is a grouped product, right? And the group section. Now this one's I think this one's a little misleading as far as what it does, like what it says it does, but there are plugins to alter some of the behavior. Why is my mouse not doing something? That's not good.
Don't you love live demos?
Oh, my trackpad just decided it didn't want to work. That's cool. So anyway, we're going to take a look at, go down here a little bit more. So we don't have any grouped products. Like I can type in Ninja and it's not going to pull up anything like we had before because we have to go and create a grouped product before we can use it, right? Why is this not working? Hold on a second. There we go. Okay. When it breaks, just reset it, right?
Turn it off.
Where are we at? So in order to make this grouped product field populate, where are we at? Right. In order to make this populate, we have to create that product, which leads us to this next item here, right? So we're going to go up to the top here and add product. And we're just going to call it simple product. Cool. So now I'm going to click publish, and that's our grouped product, right? We don't add anything else to that yet. If we go back to our products, maybe we want to group like all 3 of these, right? These 3 products. Now I can go to each one of their individual screens, and then I can add it to my simple grouped product, right? So I'm going to save each one of these. It's a little cumbersome.
Was it like a bundle?
Yeah, kind of.
Creates like a bundle?
Yeah. So if I grab this guy, and I'll explain what I don't like about it, but it does work.
I think I know what you do.
So now that's created, right? So if I want to look at this simple group product that we just created, we're going to go to the front. I don't have an image in there. I didn't really put anything on there, but now you can see that we have a list of the 3 products that we want to sell in this kind of product offering. So I can use simple numbers to add all of this together and then add to cart, which if I view my cart now, it's going to add, obviously not the ones that are not in stock, but it's going to add the other ones to my cart, which we can see here. Now, I personally think that grouped product nomenclature is a little misleading because to me it would be like if you want to make a group product, you say I want these 4 shirts as one single product, and then you can discount the overall price to sell that as a single product. That is actually a thing. WooCommerce makes that as a separate plugin that you can purchase. But if you want to put grouped products together just right out of the box, this is the way to do it. Right. So the next part that we're going to talk about is the external affiliate link, right? And this one's kind of new. Like the as Carol said, I had an agency that I was running, and then I work for an employer now. And I was doing a lot of WooCommerce work before I did that, and some of these features are pretty new, so I had to like learn a couple of these last night. And it was pretty interesting. Like it got, they did a pretty awesome job of making affiliate. Of course, no, I can't get back to my back. Of making affiliate selling through WooCommerce really easy. So if I create, we're going to create another product, right? And how many people don't know what affiliate marketing or selling is? Everybody's got a good idea? Okay, so I have super awesome naming structures here. So simply, we have all these meta fields, right? But as soon as we choose external affiliate product, a lot of that goes away. So if you set up an Amazon affiliate program and maybe you make a site that showcases a lot of Amazon products, you can put those URLs in here to cross-reference and then treat that as like your affiliate revenue generator, right? So you can give it a SKU, you can give it a product URL. So let's just jump out to Amazon. We'll look at this guy. So I grab this link, pretend like that's my affiliate link, and then you can give it a name like buy this lens or get this lens. And the pricing works just like a regular product. You can say it was $300 and then it got marked down to $250. Another cool thing too is like you can schedule when the sale is going to happen, and this is true across all of the products. You can say, I only want it to be this price for the Christmas season or the spring break season, if that's a thing.
Just I have a question about that.
Yeah.
So why do you put in the price if they're just going to click and put an Amazon and see some other price?
I believe it's so you can show the price on your site, right? Just to get the whistle wet, right? And then get them to go over there.
So that means you have to kind of monitor Amazon because their prices change.
Yeah, and I haven't looked into the other WooCommerce like plugin offerings to see if they kind of like they offer additional functionality, $70 and we'll bring in the prices for you type of thing. But that might work for some people. So if we look at the product on the front end, again, we have put an image in there, but it works a lot. It works the same way, right? So if we click this, it's going to dump it out to Amazon. And the cool thing about Amazon affiliate, like if they click your link, it's anything they buy within 24 hours. It's a long
either 24
time.
to 72,
so
but it sticks for a while.
Yeah. So if they click on this and they saw the lens and they were like, I don't want the lens, but then they get Amazon distracted and they start like buying other things, then you get credit for like stuff like that, right? Which is pretty sweet.
Amazon
Justin hooked me up a while back.
It's a fee.
Did he know he hooked you up a while?
Yeah, I think he did.
So this is pretty awesome if you're going to run like an affiliate site, right? And then you can tap into Affiliate WP, which Chris works on as well, right? Yes. And you can use this to like manage your affiliates. So it's a pretty sweet addition. So let's talk about the last one and last product type. And this one can get kind of hairy, and it's a little confusing to learn at first, but I did all the hard work for you, so you just have to take it in, right? And so what we're going to look at is a variable product, and all a variable product means is that something that has variations. So like a T-shirt that has different sizes, a T-shirt that has different colors. Really anything, something that weighs more than something else. We can say, if it weighs 50 pounds, it's $80. If it's 20 pounds, it's $40. Like we have a lot of options here. So we're gonna jump into that. And another side note, I wanted to say, like these icons are a little misleading at first, but you can hover over them and get a general idea of what they are. So like this one is an external affiliate product that we just created. This one is a grouped product, right? So when we put all of our single products into one product, and they go on. So you can hover over them and see what they are. There's a good chance that if you sell a lot of one item, you'll just see that icon and it will make sense. Just little things that give you more visual cues of what you're working with, right? So let's take a look at a variable product. We have one here called Ship Your Idea. And, oh, that is not the one I wanted. Let's go back to our list and use our icons that I just described to you. This guy right here, yes. Wrong, Ship Your Idea. So again, like we had before, our description, our short description, which is our excerpt, like we mentioned before. The other thing down here is like you can manage the reviews, right? So maybe you don't want to show the bad reviews, and you can hide those, right? But you're all honest, and you want people to get the right idea about your product, so we leave them all on there. So simple as before, you create your product, you choose variable product, and if I go back to simple product, you can see like some of the fields go away. So depending on your product data type, it's going to show you different information. Right? And in this case, we're going to do the variable product. Our first screen is just like normal. Inventory screen, just like normal. One thing we didn't touch on before was that you can sell products individually. So if I check this and I add a product to my cart, I can't go back and add that product to my cart again. You can limit how much you want people to buy. This was a solution for when you wanted to sell memberships, but now memberships is its like own plugin, and you can manage that within the memberships plugin, which is also a WooCommerce extension that ties in very nicely with the whole WooCommerce ecosystem. Shipping, we'll touch on this in a bit. Linked products, we've already talked about this a little bit. So the thing about creating the variations for your product, it lies within these two tabs, right? And if you're familiar with WordPress, the attributes is just a custom taxonomy for your products. So just like a blog has tags and categories, your products are going to have different attributes. You can see that on the left here, we have tags and categories for like general organization, but the attributes are kind of special because they give you the variations for your product. So if I jump to this page, you can see that we have some attributes already set, and it's a taxonomy screen that we can go in and set our other options one more level deep, right? So right here you can see color, but where are these coming from, right? So if we click on color, you can now see like the actual terms for that attribute. If I can add something like pink, maybe. It adds it in here, and then you have a nice drag and drop arrow to control the order that they're displayed. So when we get done adding our attributes, it's going to show it on the front end as a drop-down menu. And in fact, let's actually take a look at what this looks like on the front. So you can see that it's just like our other products. We have a featured image and our gallery and our prices. You see this nice little range here? This is indicative of your colors are going to change. Your attributes are going to cost a different amount based on what is selected. So if I choose black, or leave it at black, and you can set the default color. You don't have to just go with the first one that's inputted, right? If I choose blue, the price is going to change, right? So blue's on sale because nobody likes the blue sweater, and we have to get rid of it. Or blue, indeed. I think it's pretty sweet. But so let's go back and see like how do we manage the color options here. So we've added pink and green, but they don't show up on the front end because we need to add them in our product screen. And you can create hundreds and hundreds of colors, but only make them accessible per product, right? So that's where the product screen comes into play. You can manage everything here. I recommend managing things here because it's a little squirrely, like on the product screen. And I'll show you why. So let's first manipulate our attribute here, our color attribute. We're going to go back over to the variation, right? And we're going to create one by default. We're going to make a size variation so we can make more sense of how these work. But you can see that our current colors are here that we had on the front end, right? So now we can add, we have all these options. And this drop down is basically like the bulk editor for this section of the screen. If I want to change all of the prices to have a certain sale price, I can do it here. And I'll show you that in just a second. But in this instance, we're going to add a variation, right? Because we added the pink color and the green color. So let's go ahead and add that. So you can see how it gives us an option. Oh, no, I'm a liar. Oh, sorry, that was the other thing I had to do. So, sorry, back on our attribute screen for this product, like I was saying, we can add certain colors per product. We need to add what else we have in here, right? Pink. Did I not say the pink color? I did say the pink color. Let me save that real quick. Not sure why the pink is not showing. So anyway, we'll go with the green. And this is the other part that I was saying. You can add an attribute from this screen, so you don't always have to go back to this screen and then find your way back to your product. Maybe you want to just add one on the fly. So we're going to make orange. Oops, sorry, there's no. This is one. I'm going to make an orange color, right? And that's going to tag it in there. Save that. So now we have these attributes available for this product. If I go into the variations, so remember our variation is any kind of variation we have per product. Now I can access the colors that were set in the attributes. So in this case, now I have the green color. And if I click this little tiny arrow, you can see it right here. Now I can add prices and information like inside of this product. So we're like meta in a product meta, right? So again, like this is why we would change it. Maybe it's going to be 20 regular price, but we've got it on sale for $15, right? You can get really specific with changing the shipping classes and the amount of tax based on what it is. Maybe like if we go back to the weight example, something weighs more, it's going to cost more to ship it, so you can add different shipping class to it. One of the cool things about WooCommerce is you can do a lot with it. One of the bad things about WooCommerce is there's a lot you can do with it. So I'm trying to keep this as like streamlined, as simple as possible, but there's a lot of options, and these things are kind of important. I show you these because you can. It really shows you like what you can do with WooCommerce as far as like what you can sell and how you can use parts of it. So we're going to leave a lot of that default. We're just going to play with the price, but you can see as before, we can set these options based on a per attribute or per variation process, right? Which can get kind of hairy because you can be like, well, why am I not selling this because I set some random setting to only sell one at a time based on the green shirts, and so just be wary that stuff can get a little unruly, right? So we're just going to save those changes, and now if we go to the front end, and refresh, we now have a green option, right? And then it shows our price. It's really handy for when you have clothing or anything that has to come in a different size. So let's take a look at this is probably the most involved product type that you will mess with, right? And the big commonality that I've seen it used with is mainly clothing, like that's gives a lot of options as far as like what you can sell. But really anything that comes in any kind of variation is going to be used this way. Now, let's say I want to change everything to be one price, and I don't want anything to be on sale because this is small, right? We only have 3 variations. I did this site where they had like 200 variations for one product, and to not have this bulk updater would be insane to go through and change that every single time, right? So this is pretty handy. So if I change, I'm going to set all of the regular prices. It's gonna give me a little modal or pop-up window here. So I want everything to be $40. These things are selling like crazy, and they're not going to be on sale. So I want to make sure my sale prices are off as well. I believe that is the correct way to do that.
That everything's all free now.
Yes, everything is all free.
It is all free.
It is all free. Yes, so don't do that. Let's change that back. What is it? Set sale prices. Just clear that like that. That's fun. No,
It's $40. You're right.
did it change?
Yeah.
Oh, up here. Sorry. So they're all the same price, so it's not going to change per product when you swap it out. You can see you have a lot of options here. Maybe you kind of borked the way you set up your managed stock options or your variations. You can change it just like we did here with the prices. This is one of those product types that you kind of have to get in there and get dirty with. It can be kind of confusing. But let's make another attribute. We're going to add a size attribute. I'm going to delete that current one. Get that guy out of here. Refresh this guy. So now we just have our color one, and I can't click on this because it's already been applied. WooCommerce is trying to save you from yourself. So we're going to add a custom attribute. Now I was having issues with this, but we're going to try it. You can see before I enter any text, we have a bit of instruction here. We can enter some attributes on the fly, and hopefully for a live demo this will work. And this is important. You can add attributes, but not actually apply them to the product. So you can, this fly really likes me, apparently. But you don't have to apply them directly to the product. But we're going to use this for variations because we want to add sizes to our sweatshirt, right? We're going to do save attribute and see if that pulled it into our variations.
It's there. It's the second drop down. It's right next to it.
Oh, here.
Yeah.
Just a little blind here. So now let's actually remove that one that we added for the size. Yes, sorry. So now you can get even more granular and say you have a black size small, and maybe we want to make that $12 because we're trying to get rid of it. So now if we go back to the front, we have a second option here, right? We can choose the different sizes we want. We'll change this back to small. Why isn't our price updating? That's interesting. Why isn't that working? No. So now it'll solve that based on what we have.
Is there a button to just generate the matrix? So obviously you've got so you can create all these variations. If you didn't want to do any size, is there a generator, or is it you have to kind of go through each one and pick?
That's a good question. Let's see. Yeah, create variations from all attributes. So if we just dump that in there. So now, so now you can go in and change it. And this would be really good if you need to manage, in this case, if you need to manage by color, by size.
Stock. Right?
Yeah, your stock by color, by size. So in that case, you could go in here and change, it's in stock, but we.
What was that drop down that you chose to do that?
Under add variation, there's create variations from all attributes.
Okay.
So that it can be a little dangerous though, because if you have a lot of attributes that you might not want, then you're going to blast all of them out like we just did. We only had a few, right? So if we bring this back up, we only had a few, and like look how many it dumped out, right? So if we had another color on there, and then we run that again, it's going to dump, you know, three more attributes on there, 3 more variations on there.
But it's important for stock management.
But yes, especially like a clothing product, maybe a shoe that has, you know, 12 different sizes, and then you have different colors and stuff like that too.
If they're, I think they're very smart about it too. If it's because one concern is it can overload the server. If you have too many variations, they will do it in batches of 50. So if your variations are going to create more than 50, you actually have to do that step a couple times until it hits all your variations.
Yeah.
And that's just to save you from crashing your server.
Yeah. And I believe in version 2.4, they rehauled this whole thing, so it runs even faster than before. So when you see it take a minute and you see this little spinny thing coming up, that's WordPress making a call to the server without refreshing the page, so that it will like bring in all that data for you without losing your other progress from other form fields on the page. Right? Let's see what else. Okay, so we're gonna talk. That's pretty much it for. That's it for variable. Again, it's one of those things. Once you get in there and start playing with it, it'll make more sense. That can actually be said for WooCommerce, because you can get pretty lost in the weeds with a lot of the options. But just start simple. You know, if you have a shirt that you want to sell and you know it's 2 colors, build the 2 colors and then start working off of that. It can get pretty overwhelming if you just keep like adding all sorts of stuff and you get lost and you're not sure where to come back from. So the next thing we're going to talk about is we're going to touch on shipping. We're going to touch on taxes and payment, and then we'll get into like how you manage an order. For that, let's go ahead and update this. Now, WooCommerce has its own settings page, which if you hover over WooCommerce here and click on settings, like I said, you can get kind of lost in here, but so we're going to cover, you know, straight to the point options. You just verify that how your information is displayed the way you want it to be displayed. Like I showed you in the beginning, that little like wizard that walked us through setting up the store, that sets this information here. Now, if you want to only sell to the U.S. or Uruguay, if you want, like you can pick that, right? You can say I only want to do specific countries. Does it do it? Oh, it does do it. Sweet. So I only want to sell to Uruguay. I want to corner the market in Uruguay. You can do that, right? And then maybe you're like, oh no, that wasn't the right choice. I should probably do the United States as well. Right? So you can do that. You can do none. You can do all. It's really up to you. If you don't want to hassle with shipping internationally, just change that to specific countries only, and then United States, and then you just alleviate a headache. Unless you have like good processes set like that. So this information down here is just really to make sure the information displays the right way for your customers. So we're based in the US, the $, we have $, on the currency position is on the left. But this is all customizable, right? So if you're in a foreign country, a lot of times they use dots instead of periods for their thousands separator. That can all be changed, right? We're going to skip over products a little bit, and I'll leave this how it was. A lot of this is imported from that wizard in the beginning, so we can change this to be whatever your store weight units are, right? And so this is important when it comes to shipping, because then they need to correlate to your customers to show like what the actual weight is getting shipped to, like what weight unit is getting used, right? So if you're shipping in the UK, you'd probably use kilos, grams if it's small enough to be in grams, right? Or if you just want to mess with people and do like a kilo in the gram format, you can do that. So you can manage, there are other options here for products that you can get into, but we're going to jump into tax options. This is where you can get down to the county, down to the state. If you just want to do a blanket tax rate, you can do that as well. You can see that these are all just the default settings. Some of this is brought over from the wizard from the beginning, like we were talking about. You can set your rates here, and you will see these are duplicated because I was making sure things worked before we got to this point. But you can add a row. You can choose a country. So we're in U.S. We're in Arizona. If you want to sell, if you have to add a tax percentage based on the county you sell from, there are certain laws on that. You can put your postcode in there. You know, like this is, I live in downtown Phoenix, so it might be, you know, a little higher. So you can label these taxes, and they will get applied based on where they're being sold from. We'll go ahead and just save that. We're going to jump over to shipping and then come back to checkout, because that's going to talk about our payment gateways and what we use for that method. So right out of the box, WooCommerce comes with these 5 options here, and you can see them down here as just like a quick overview to see if it's actually enabled for your site, right? If it's enabled, there'll be a nice little round purple check mark here. So as of now, nothing's enabled for shipping. But we can come into flat rate, which is the same as just clicking up here. We can enable it, right? And then I'm just going to keep it simple. I'm going to say $10. That's either a really good deal or a really bad deal, depending on how much you buy. But one thing to note, and we'll touch on this a little bit more in the end, is that WooCommerce has a ton of extensions. And so if we add something like, maybe you have your store set up to ship with UPS, well, there's a UPS shipping extension that we plugged into here, and then that will just get tacked on to the end up here, and you can set your shipping classes based on that, based on how you ship. So you might have a good deal with UPS or FedEx or whatever, and then you can set up a shipping class that will automatically apply to your product. So we're just going to go ahead and save that for now. We're going to come back to checkout, and with checkout, you have to use something called a payment gateway. You have many options with WooCommerce. I think they have over 100 extensions that you can plug into. A very common one is PayPal, which is here. And if we had put in an email in the beginning of our wizard, it would be here. If you're a developer, you would use a PayPal sandbox. So if you're hiring somebody to build a WooCommerce site for you, they would set this up, and it would allow them to test payments without actually charging money to cards or bank accounts in that manner.
Excuse me, I didn't hear what you said about that.
I said that if you enable this PayPal sandbox feature right here, it allows the developer to run test transactions. So it creates, kind of these dummy accounts that you can say, I'm sending you this payment, and then PayPal will go, okay, it's legit, and then sends it back and it's processed. So once that works smoothly, then you usually have the green light to push it, to go live with the site, and then it should work as expected. But again, that's still on the developer to make sure that runs. So that's the basic like PayPal integration, right? There's many flavors of PayPal depending on your needs. And one important thing that I should note about choosing a payment gateway, you really should choose it based on your needs, right? So if I'm going to show you how to use Stripe, but Stripe's not available in all countries, right? So your different payment gateways are only allowed to operate in certain countries. If you want something that's fairly worldwide, there's one called 2Checkout, and that goes pretty much everywhere, and it's pretty well received. So depending on your flavor, if you don't like PayPal, you have a lot of options to choose from. I personally like Stripe, and I'm going to show you how to set that up. Now, the nice thing is that WooCommerce made a deal with Stripe. Stripe used to be a paid plugin. I think it was
$79.
Was it 79?
Yeah, all their
Okay.
gateways are 79.
Yeah, so all the gateways are very affordable to get you like up and running. So Stripe is pretty great because it has this testing environment that even if you're not tech savvy, you can still run through. You don't have to enable your PayPal sandbox and then go have to figure out how the PayPal sandboxing thing works. Granted, you still have to figure out the Stripe thing, but it's, in my opinion, a lot easier of a transition to figure out. So
They
we're
just
gonna.
made Stripe free too.
Yeah.
You know that?
Yes.
Okay, that's what you just said.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So I've already downloaded Stripe. We'll touch on this a little bit more on how to get the plugins, but I'm going to go to the site here. So to download any of these plugins, even the free ones, you have to sign up, and then they will give you a code that you then put onto your site, and that helps manage updates. So they will send you notices on your plugin screen when it's time to update a specific plugin. They'll do this with paid plugins. They'll do it with free plugins. It's just a matter of like keeping your plugins up to date and secure. Right? It's not always a feature that gets added to a plugin. Sometimes it's a security fix or a bug fix or something like that. So I've already downloaded the WooCommerce. The Stripe payment gateway for WooCommerce. So pay attention to this area up here. These are our payment options. Now, if I go to plugins and activate my plugin, it's kind of like superhero-ish, right? Now, if I go back to my settings for WooCommerce, where we were just before, and I click checkout, I now have this Stripe option, right? And so, just like with our shipping, we have to enable the ability to use Stripe. And we have a few options down here. Right now, I'm going to keep it on test mode because we don't want, we just want to prevent ourselves from really having to go through calling the credit card company and say, oh, I messed up, I was testing this, I need you to refund this. You know, this is basically just to help you out and not to help you prevent headaches. So now this is installed, but we don't know how does this talk to Stripe? You know, so now you have to go in and create a Stripe account, which is just as simple as going to stripe.com. Where are we at here? I think I'm signed in. So let me bring up a different browser. So you go to stripe.com. You can sign up somewhere here. Yeah. And it's free, right? You can set this up and sign up for free. I already have my window open, so we're going to go to dashboard. So when you set up when you create your Stripe account, it auto defaults to this live/test toggle button here, and it defaults to test automatically. So you can run through and test your transactions before actually going live. The other option in here is that you won't start processing information or sales to your account until you switch this to live. And what?
No, this is just for view. Their test toggle, it's just to view data. This doesn't set your account live.
I was going to do the next step.
Oh, I thought you were switching it.
No.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm not.
Sorry.
You still have to attach a bank account to it as well, right? And then that's going to be, because obviously if you're going to sell things, you want the money to come to you, right?
Maybe.
Or take it away.
Oh.
That's pretty.
Oh, as Chris was saying, there is actually one more step to this. So after we hook up our, it's been a little while since I've done this. You know where it is, Chris? Bank account.
Yeah,
Oh, here it is.
transfer.
So under transfers, you add your bank account information, which will just be your bank routing number and your account number that you want it to go into. So once that's set up, and we're going to show you how, I'm going to show you how we run some test sales once you're happy with like the sale process and everything's going through and connecting, you can hit this to live, and then you come over here to activate account, and then then it will prompt you here if this information isn't added, right? So we need to enter our tax ID if we have one, and then we can add our bank details here at the end, right? So once this is all saved, you hit activate account, you're technically ready to go, and you can start selling your products. But since we aren't going, I'm not going to put my bank information in there for you, we're going to run some test transactions, right? So the important thing here is we have to connect Stripe to our WooCommerce install, and you need to do this with any plugin or any payment gateway that you use. When you create an account on, say, PayPal, they will provide you with these this information, this text called a token, and we're going to put that onto our WooCommerce install to correlate the information. Right? So again, we're going to go to account settings, and you have this fun little key icon for API keys. And WooCommerce correlates where this information is going to go in that Stripe interface. So we're going to copy these over one at a time. It's a little pet peeve of mine because Stripe has them in this order, but WooCommerce does them differently. EDD does it the right way. So
we didn't at one point. I think I got annoyed by it, so I changed it.
Anyway, I keep two tabs open because it's easier to go between the two. So I'm going to grab the secret live key, and we're going to dump it right here. It says secret live key. Nice, right? And our publisher key. And we're going to come back to the test key, and then our test publisher key. So all of that is in there. So what the test is, the test secret key and the test publishable key, that's for us, that's for what we're going to use now, right? We're going to test our transactions and make sure they're working. The live secret key is there for when we actually want to sell our items to the world and get the money to go into our bank account. The reason that these fields are separate is because it would be pretty annoying to have to swap out your keys each time you wanted to test and then move live and then take them out and put your new keys in there. So this is just a nice way of keeping track of those keys, right? So we're going to come down to the bottom and hit save. So now you're technically ready to go, right? And the side note here, you can regenerate these keys if you feel, if your account got hacked or Stripe has issues with like how you're connecting to their services. In my opinion, like Stripe is one of the best ones to use because they make this process so simple. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and click done. I'm going to keep this open, but I'm going to go back to the dashboard. So we can see like 0, we have no sales, right? That's kind of a bummer. But we're actually going to buy some things here, right? So if I go back to, let me close some of these guys out. I'm going to look at the whole shop page. If I click on cart, I think we still have a bunch of stuff in the cart. Yeah, so we still have a bunch of stuff in the cart, which is awesome. I don't have a coupon, but that can be set. But I'm pretty good with this, right? The tax has been applied automatically. I think I'm going to go ahead and proceed to checkout. Oh, that's a bummer. Flying Ninja is not in stock, so I got to go back to my Flying Ninja and take it out. Really bummed about that. So now this takes us to the checkout page, right? And it's pretty standard checkout page if you've ever bought anything online. So we're going to just fill out some dummy information here. It's not a phone number. Okay, cool. And we'll leave that as it is. We have a nice little summary of our order, our tax, and everything is set. Stripe is really nice. This information right here won't show when we take it out of test mode. It will just simply say, you know, input a credit card number. If you're a developer, the cool thing about Stripe is that they provide you, and I think other payment gateways do this as well, but Stripe provides you with specific credit card numbers that you can test against. So if you want to make sure that, you know, everything runs smoothly for American Express, Discover, or anything along those lines, they'll provide you with a specific number. But if you want to test against an error, you can put in a specific card number for that, and it'll return a certain error. So if you're a developer, you can react to those certain circumstances and then build the code for them, right? But in this example, we're just going to use the sample super secure 2-digit number, and then we can just put whatever number in here as long as it's not yesterday, and we can just put a generic card code in there. Again, we're just testing. Now I'm going to place the order. No ways.
You didn't have the year. Oh, it's it.
Yeah,
It's just month and year.
it's just month and two.
They don't do date.
So this is our order received screen, right? So it says like my credit card payment was Stripe, or the method was Stripe. Gives me my total, nice little summary. If we had a downloadable product in this screen, it would be listed in this box as a link, and so you could just download it right away. Right? And there's some options that can be adjusted with that as well. Again, just showing the display of the information that we had. So this is our order, right? Our person bought these awesome products, and now what do we do, right? Well, now we can go back over to Stripe. I'm going to refresh, and look at that. That's pretty sweet, right? So you can see payments that came through, this information. Look, my name's here. I can't spell my own name. But you can see like all of this information came from WooCommerce, and you basically built a store with 2 plugins, right? So everything passed, we're good to go here, but we're not done yet, right? So they paid for it, we actually have to get it to them. Right? So if we go back to our WooCommerce, you have, just like we have products here, we have, I gotta refresh because we didn't have orders before. So now we have orders, right? And this is what our order screen looks like. It's very similar to our product screen, except for it's our orders. Now, we can click on this and just get a quick idea of what they purchased. But the general list of this will just show you the basic on the top information. Now, if you have a bunch of orders, obviously your list is going to be pretty good and long. It tells us how it was paid. So maybe you're not just stuck with Stripe. Like you could have Stripe and you could have the PayPal. You can have as many as you want. And when they go to check out, they just simply pick a drop down and then input their information that way.
So at what point does that list that's generated from you, hundreds and thousands of orders because people are buying stuff from you right and left,
Oh yeah,
crash your site or become too much for the data there?
well, you would
Does it
be,
expire?
this data, no. And that's what I'm going to point on here in just a second.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're fine. Your orders come through here, right? So they're not processed. You haven't done anything with them. They're just kind of sitting there. Technically, the money's in your bank, but you're not done with the order. So if I click on this order number here, and this is just like a post. So if I click on a post title, you're going to go into a post screen. If I click on the products, and I'm going to look at the product management screen. So now we're in this order management screen, right? And so we get our details about when it was ordered. You can see here, this is the important one, right? It's currently processing, and that's up to us to change that status. And you can see when you open up the drop-down, you have a lot of options to deal with here. Most of the time, you should just say completed and then ship it if it's a shippable product, and then you're good to go, right? Or you can wait until the product clears the bank. Like you can change this to pending payment. Because if you enable your customers to create an account, they can log into their account and see if the order has been fully processed. They can get a, there's my sweater, I ordered it 2 weeks ago, kind of idea. They can come in here and see like, oh, it's pending payment. There may have been an issue. I need to contact the seller. It's still processing. But most of the time, if everything went pretty smoothly, where is it? You just click completed, and then we can save the order, right? Before we save the order, you can see we have order notes, how you did certain things. The charge was done. This is the initial purchase. We changed it from pending to processing, and then now it's completed. So if we save our order note should update here. So now it's set to completed, and this order is pretty good to go, like pretty good to go. So you can see like what they ordered, Maybe you had a problem, like this is another instance with your order status. Like maybe you needed to put it on hold because you sold out of a certain size, or your manufacturer didn't come and you didn't have it in stock. So the WooCommerce gives you these options where you can really interact with the orders on an individual level. But for the most, manage the product, and if it goes through and passes through, your Stripe account or whatever payment gateway you use, you process their order and it's good to go. And this all keeps the record. So this, like, back to your question, is they don't expire, right? So it's the same manner as like a blog post, right? Your blog post doesn't expire unless you put a timer on it that unpublishes it, but it never will go away. You always have a record of information here too. So you can see they have this little column here on the left, and this icon changed. Before it was green, right? Because it was like a green dot because it hadn't been processed yet. And these will change based on whatever status you save it as. So if I change it to on hold, let's actually try that out. Hopefully I don't break it. If I change it back to on hold and then go back to my orders list, yeah, so you can hover over it and see that it's on hold.
Justin, I've noticed that the order numbers will often skip. So like the next order that shows up might go from 124 to 138. Is that because people are hitting the checkout page and not completing the process, or any idea why that happens, or has anybody else experienced that?
Not sure, Chris.
I believe it's custom post type. So because I think orders are a custom post type.
They are.
Since they're a custom post type, they're using WordPress post IDs. And so let's say you enter in a blog post, which is now post ID 1. You enter in something else, which is post ID 2. The first order that comes in will be post ID 3. So the first order will be order number 3. There's a couple options, I think, for like sequential ordering. So instead of working out post ID, it will actually work off an ordered number. So yeah, that's our platform does the same thing.
Yeah, they all live in the posts.
Yeah, it's all in the post table, technically. So.
Which is kind of frustrating because I've had to build some custom stuff, and I was like, oh, they just want to show you have a person that bought a handful of different things. Like maybe they have like a category of T-shirts, and then they have a category of this. Like you can't, without writing some custom stuff, you can't just say show me all the T-shirts that they bought, right? Because if they have 4 orders and each order has 1 T-shirt, you can't just go and say show me these ones, right? You might be able to do it now because they have a REST API that comes with WooCommerce, but I haven't played with that.
And if you're dealing with anyone in Europe, they will need sequential orders numbers to happen. They can't have, because of their accounting laws, order IDs have to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They have to be in order. So if you're dealing with anyone in Europe, you'll definitely want to enable that type of situation.
Can you click on the order again?
Yeah.
And
We don't care.
this is just a silly question.
Yep.
Can you scroll down? Sure. Oh yeah. So are those actual links to the front page of the product?
Yes. Oh no, this is the edit page.
Oh, it goes to the edit version. Okay.
Yeah.
I was just curious because I thought maybe that might be a way to, like, if you had somebody that's like selling something that they didn't actually have, and they're like, what? I don't have that. Why is it listed or whatever? Then maybe it was. But
I think in that regard, it's a quick way to get to the admin screen and be like, oh, I actually don't have that in stock. I've got to turn it off or limit my availability or something like that, right? Which is pretty great because in other ways you have to ship through, sort through your products and then find that certain
right.
Right. So, that is that's it. That's it for demo. Any questions? Or?
Can you show all the extensions you have? Like what are all the WooCommerce extensions you have?
Oh yes, yeah. Let's talk about that. So, as for what I have installed here, disregard this guy right here. That's just to like clean up the database, so I can show you these things with a clean install. But all I did here was install the free WooCommerce plugin, and then the now free WooCommerce Stripe gateway. Once you install those two, you basically have a store, right? You don't have to do hardly anything else. Create a Stripe account if you're going to use Stripe, and then you're pretty much off to the races, right?
shipping and taxes was included as well as groupings was all included in base.
Yes.
Wow.
So
Base shipping, like flat rate shipping.
yeah. So just to reiterate what Carol's question was, if I go back to settings and I click on shipping, these are the defaults that come with it, right? So if you know that you're going to sell a certain product and it's always going to be $10, you can come in here and say, you know, $10, and then it's good to go. Where you can add more functionality, like we were talking about earlier. If I go to WooCommerce plugins, I guess they call them extensions, plugins, and I search for UPS.
Upselling.
Yes. Yeah. So each of the product pages are going to have this similar layout, right? And a lot of them follow this same kind of purchasing paradigm. So you can buy it for one. It's yearly, right? Yeah. So each of these prices is yearly,
Subscription
right?
too.
Subscription based. So it should no, I think.
They are now.
Are they doing it?
They everything they do now is subscription and credit card. They no longer take PayPal. It's all credit card and will renew automatically every year.
So if you're not familiar with this subscription model of paying for plugins, you pay this price, and then for a year you get updates within that time frame. You could still use the plugin after the fact, but you're not going to get updates for new features, security fixes, bugs, and stuff like that. A lot of the plugins out there run with this model.
But now they'll automatically renew every year until you cancel it.
Yeah.
So that's nice.
So what I was showing you here was this is the UPS shipping method add-on, right? So this would give us UPS in this screen to choose from. If I go back to just the shipping here, UPS would now be an option to select here, right? So if I look in here, you can see like what is it going to offer me. You can specify rates for these specific things that correlate to that shipping provider, right? And plus you have an international option too, right? So maybe you want to be prestige worldwide and ship it out that way, right? So you can, these are kind of, these are showing like what those interfaces look like. But again, if you're already familiar with selling things through UPS or whatever shipping provider you need, there's a very, very high chance that it already exists as a shipping or a plugin on the site. So like, I don't know, let's just pick a competitor, right? FedEx shipping method. Same type of thing, right? We have a lot more options here, and then you have other options that you can enable, right? Wow. Like I said, WooCommerce can get pretty overwhelming with all the options they have, but you can get up and running with like general setup. I wonder if there's a payment. I'm surprised they don't like tag their stuff. Let's try this. Oh, here we go. So if you go to the WooCommerce extensions page, you can see them all categorized out here on the left. And there's a lot of stuff that you might not even think of that they've added in there because somebody either requested it or it became a pretty good idea that they did an add-on. So, for example, if you have a subscription service, you can, or a subscription product, maybe you have like a monthly tutoring site and you want to or you want to give a subscription access to enable on your site, you can use this extension, and then you can add various subscription types. So you can add, maybe there's different tiers for different access of content. It's pretty expansive, and you can combine this with a couple other plugins to, like, maybe you have a subscription, but it has a restricted content type that you can only see for specific types of content. But I wanted to go back to this page here. For the payment gateways, like I said before, they have over 100, and like I said, 11 pages of 12. What is that? 16. So you can go through. You can see how there's like multiple flavors of PayPal, which adds to the confusion of using PayPal. But like I said, it goes from there's so many in here. I've never heard of half of these. I'm sure Chris has heard of a good amount. Maybe not half. So if we go back to that first part, right, you can see these are some of the most popular ones. If you run any like traditional connections, like selling stuff through a website, authorize.net is a pretty big one. Then you can choose like the different type of payment gateways, right? And that's pretty much it. I mean, if you can think of something that you need WooCommerce to do, there's a very high chance that there's a plugin that exists for that specific thing. And another side note too is like you can look at something like that, like subscriptions. Not a cheap plugin, but considering what it does, like it's a $200 plugin, right? But considering like all of the options and the power that it enables you, I mean, you're basically making recurring revenue by just clicking a few buttons and installing the plugin. Again, if that's something you do, like subscriptions is pretty. You can set it up to be if you're a freelancer and you have retainers, you can use subscriptions to automatically pull in retainer fees from the clients that you might have, right? If you have a tutoring, service, like you can charge a monthly fee for a tutoring service. You can break it down to the hour, to the week. It's pretty expensive. WooCommerce is owned by Automatic, which makes WordPress, so it's not really going to go anywhere anytime soon. You do have other options other than WooCommerce. Easy Digital Downloads is a very well-built plugin and a very optimal solution. It is primarily for digital goods. They have phased out physical goods.
We never really had them. We have a plugin that lets you do shipping,
yeah.
But it's not our focus.
Yeah. So if you're selling stuff like themes, or I think one of the better options, if you're not a WordPress developer, if you're selling music, ebooks are a good one to sell.
Photography.
Yeah, anything that can be downloaded, obviously by the title, is really well run through Easy Digital Downloads. And Chris is actually a co-lead developer, so I'm kind of giving him a little boost there. But yeah,
Kind of a big deal.
He is kind of a big deal. Yes.
Is there like a best practice for image sizes? 'Cause I can remember running into problems where images would be pixelated on like the image page, but not on the shop page, or vice versa. And
yeah,
any insight about that?
There was tutorials on WooCommerce that talked about like setting your thumbnail sizes correctly. So if I remember correctly, you can go to your media. I always have to look for this thing. No, that's not what I want. Settings, media. You can change. I believe it's in here. It's in here. No, here it is. So you can come in here and adjust your image sizes, and that should address your odd-shaped images and pixelated images as well. Because I've had that same issue. Like this will operate independently from the media, from this screen here, right? So this is like your default featured image settings for blog posts, pages, and stuff like that.
I've got one other question, if it's all right. So I have a client, and they have a product that has a base price, and it has 5 add-ons. So if you add any of the add-ons, it would increase the price based on the price of the add-on. And so it would be cumulative. So if you pick add-on 1 and add-on 3, those 2 prices would need to be added to the base price.
Mm-hmm.
Could you do that with the attributes variations functionality, or is that
not out of the box? WooCommerce
Okay.
does have an extension.
So you need an extension for that.
Plugins, yeah.
Do you know offhand which one? Or?
Well, pull it up.
Anybody know?
I do know they had one though.
Sometimes it's hard to figure out what to call something.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like you described it. Like
I think it's just called product add-ons. Yeah, product add-ons.
Oh, cool.
Product add-ons.
$50 for the site. And they have a huge number of plugins that aren't on their thing here. They're on WordPress.org too. They have probably the biggest collective set of add-ons that are freely available on WordPress.org.
How many add-ons are on here?
Oh,
I don't even know any.
yeah, I don't know. I don't think it tallies it for you, but
How many pages?
31.
31 pages.
Oh, here we go. 360 extensions.
360.
And so, Blue Themes, the extensions on this site have kind of gone through this rigorous code filtering to make sure it's good to go and it doesn't kind of tarnish WooCommerce's name. Because you'll see like there's stuff on it that's not just by WooCommerce, right? So like some of these are built by other companies. This one's Blue Themes. That was a bad example. But I just saw one like Woo subscriptions. This is by ProsPress, which they're a WooCommerce focused shop, right? But WooCommerce or Woo Themes isn't the only place to get these plugins. You can go outside of that ecosystem, like Carol was saying. So we're on the WordPress.org plugin repo. If I just search for WooCommerce, you'll see you have many other options to choose from. And this list will go on and on and on and on and on. Some people will come here looking for a free option as a version of what WooCommerce offers. I would not recommend that because, like I said, the plugins and extensions that are on WooCommerce have gone through these tests to make sure everything is up to snuff and it like works with WooCommerce as it should.
Well, it's interesting because if you go back down, there was one I think it was called PagSeguro. That's a gateway. If you keep going, that's a gateway. There it is, a gateway in Brazil.
Okay.
The developer on there is one of the lead developers of WooCommerce.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, like kind of learning their ecosystem, you can find out which ones are freely available and still kind of trusted.
Yeah. Yeah. So it takes a little bit, a little more homework, but then you can like figure out who and where they come from. But that's just like Chris and I knowing who the developers are and whatnot. But if you want like I said, if you want like a secure working version of a plugin, I would get it off of Blue Themes because it's been tested and run through. Are there any other questions?
Can I plug another shop
Sure.
that is trusted? It's called Shop Plugins.
Oh yeah.
Daniel Espinoza and I forget the other guy's name, but Daniel used to be a Woo Ninja. He used to do support for Woo Themes and broke out into his own
Is it
his own theme
two
development.
Ps?
Shop, yep, Shop Plugins, one word. Shop, SHOPP. Plugins.com. Yeah, too many P's.
Yeah.
These guys build really good stuff too.
Yeah.
So they sell.
Oh wow, they got easy
Yeah.
stuff too.
They build EDD and WooCommerce extensions. Basically, they focus on e-commerce extensions.
Yeah. So
They're really good.
These guys are good. The one that we were just talking about. Let me get the right thing here.
How could you not love them?
ProsPress, this is the company that does the WooCommerce subscriptions. They're really good. What is the other one? Skyverge.
Mm-hmm.
These guys specialize in e-commerce. They're very active. Very, very talented people in here too. So if you need a developer, then you can go to these two and really help you out. But that would be a conversation you'd have to have with them as far as like your budget and what you need done and everything else. But as we covered tonight, you really just need 2 plugins and a little bit of time and something to sell, and you can have a store.
Yay!
Yay! So did we wade far enough into the Woo?
Totally. Just like covering you right now.